So what is wireframing? Wireframing is a way to design a website at the structural level. So we're kind of talking about our foundation and our framing type thing. So a wireframe is commonly used to lay out content and functionality on a page, which takes into account user needs. During the wireframing stage, you flesh out the interactive elements and how they behave. So if something's going to hover, what button will link to what page, etc. So this is a good example of wireframe. It's a very simple illustration. Sometimes we don't even have this in the wireframe stage of things, but it does give a good idea. We do have simplistic icons in the wireframe stage of things. Usually sometimes we'll have a little bit of copy, mostly just headline copy, and the rest is filler. And we usually have some text that gives us a better idea as to what this is, not just button. It'll be, say, shop now or order now type thing. So wireframes are simple grayscale or black and white or monochrome layouts that display the specific sizes and placement of page elements, features, navigation of your product, etc. So here is a whole bunch of wireframes. So you can see it's literally looks like a site that is ready to launch, but obviously we have no images, we have no colors, but we see where everything is and we see how we're going to click things. We see that there's going to be some contrast between this button and this bar. We see that there's going to be contrast between this, and there's going to actually be a circular shaped image in here. You can do these by adding a little picture graphic in there, or you can represent that but literally by saying product shop. So as a designer, you hash out all those details of the site architecture, the functionality, the content prior to actually starting a high fidelity mockup. So that means your comps. This is where that little kind of picture graphic comes in. So a wireframe lets everyone focus on what's important at this step. So what goes on each page, where on the page it goes, and why exactly does it go there. Coffee break. So what are the benefits of the wireframing? So it's excellent for creating layouts, planning functionality, and organizing the information of your site. It allows you to explore numerous positioning, functional operations, and how elements will work together on the page or between pages rapidly. Like I said, we can kind of decide these things when we are sketching, but things like, how this is going to work out and exactly how those things are going to lay out is a lot drastically different is the word I'm looking for than when we're doing our sketch. So we help ensure the layouts, functionality, and other elements are signed off before moving on to time-consuming pixel perfect design. So I know this is pixel perfect design. I like to say the wireframe stage, we do get into the pixels because we are out. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I don't know what makes me yawn so much when I'm doing lectures. Maybe I bore myself. When we're doing our wireframes, we are now essentially working with pixels. So we're working with our grids. We're figuring out the actual alignment of things, and that is in fact getting into the pixels. I like to think the comping stage is where we define what our colors are, how something's going to look when we hover over it, etc. So wireframe solves the structural details before the comping process begins. Colors, fonts, and stylistic treatments of logos and other graphical elements can evoke emotional response. So I hate this pink, love the blue, etc., which distracts from the task of determining the best information design for the page. When I'm designing logos for a client, I will always design those logos. Depends. Sometimes I'll design them all initially in black and white. Sometimes I'll design them in color and then I switch to black and white, but no matter what, that first draft of those logos that go to the client will have a black version, a white knocked out version, and then as well as a proposed color version. Because I don't know if anybody has ever looked at a new home, an apartment, a car, and the color is god awful, but you cannot get past that. The color is bright pink, but you're like, it functions really well. I could potentially paint this. But I can't even focus because I think the color is ridiculous. Same as a home. So that's why we don't do that at this stage, because we really need to focus on the functionality. So we have our common responsive sizes. We've discussed this when we did our matrix assignments. We have our tablet, our desktop, and our mobile. And then we're choosing our tools. So I'm not going to go into these into too much detail because we are specifically working XD. Figma is, well, absolutely one of the top ones right now. Sketch was, but I think it's certainly taking a back seat because all the functionality that you need to design and prototype are built right into Figma and into XD. So I'm not going to bother reading through any of these. Same with the Figma one, I'll go through XD. So it's an all-in-one, and obviously it's integrated into Creative Cloud. So we know all of those, most of those features already. The ones that we know for design are already there. And you folks know what it looks like. This is in the prototyping stage. I think I briefly showed you. So this is how we start to link our pages. And again, I won't bother going through that right now. So there's lots and lots of tools. Good to stick to the standards. So the front runners here. But once you essentially kind of learn one, you're able to navigate through the others.